What's up, everyone? We'll see if anyone joins. Oh. Just doing a surprise live stream Q&A. Not really pre-planned, but we'll see if anyone hops on, has any chameleon questions, and we'll get chatting from there. Hey, Emily. How's it going? Are you guys having a good weekend? Do you guys have a 3-day weekend? Do you have any plans? Like, how are you guys doing? Let's see. Oh, look, we've got some people. What's up, everybody? I was afraid it was just going to be me hanging out by myself, but I'm glad there's other people here too. Hello, Kayla. Top Gamer, what's up? The taxes person, hello. How would I check the temperatures of my chameleon's enclosure without a temperature gun? Like, there's a golden rule of just using your hand. If you can put your hand underneath your basking branch, and if it's too hot to leave it there, then odds are it's too hot for your chameleon. But if you can leave your hand there and it's a comfortable temperature, then it's probably okay for your chameleon. But it's always good to double check with like an actual thermometer. So, Kayla has a concern about their chameleon. Well, let me know. Give me some information down below. Either myself or other people in the chat can probably help you out. Are you gonna get a carpet chameleon? Okay. Who asked that? David. Okay, David, so my local reptile shop actually just posted that they have carpet chameleons, and I'm like half tempted to go and see, but I also know if I go and visit, then there's a very high likelihood that I'm gonna come home with a carpet chameleon because I have an extra enclosure and I'm moving somewhere that has more space. So I'm like, should I go visit? Because I know if I visit, then I'm gonna maybe get it. So I know, I'll probably go visit just to say hi to the carpet chameleon. But yes, carpet chameleons are one of my favorite chameleons, and they're on my list. So, let's see. What else we got? My chameleon passed away. What should I do to prepare his old enclosure for a new chameleon? Okay, Spiky Pro, so if your chameleon passed away, one, I'm so sorry. Like, deepest condolences. So sorry to hear that. If your chameleon does pass away, like, make sure that your care is correct, that you've got your T5 UVB, that you're using your calcium without vitamin D. Like, make sure there's nothing about your care that may have caused your chameleon to get sick. If it was like parasites or something like that, then you want to do like a deep clean, like take everything out, scrub it from head to toe, and make sure it's completely sanitized before bringing home a new chameleon. But double, triple check that your enclosure is set up correctly in the first place for a chameleon. I have tons of videos that'll help you out. Okay. My chameleon hasn't pooped in over a week, so I'm scared to keep feeding her. She's a Veal chameleon, maybe a little under a year old. So Neptune went like, I want to say 2 weeks without pooping. Yeah, it made me nervous because I was like looking around. So make sure you look in her enclosure like head to toe that you didn't miss a poop by chance. But yeah, I guess just give her time. Maybe give her some hornworms, extra hydration, and hope for the best. Otherwise, I would take her to the vet. Make sure there's no like bark chips in the bottom or plastic leaves that maybe she ate and is now impacted. That would be my advice without knowing any information. My chameleon's about 9 months, is female, and hasn't laid eggs. So chameleons don't lay them at the same time or the same time frame. So if you have lower temperatures and if you're feeding her less, then in theory she shouldn't lay eggs as often or as many. So don't freak out, just make sure you have a laying bin in there for her and pay attention to her patterns and colors to see if she's getting gravid colors, which will be your sign of like, hey, she's getting ready to lay her eggs. How can I get my chameleon to eat Doobie roaches? So I do have a video about this, but so I'll cover it at a high level, but feel free to check that out if you want more advice. So the idea is the Doobie roach is like broccoli, right? It's the healthy, nutritious bug, which is great. But if you're feeding your chameleon just what I call candy bugs, like superworms and waxworms, things that taste really yummy, then your chameleon's not going to eat the Doobie roaches. Also, roaches just inherently don't move a lot. They kind of just like sit in one spot. So make sure you're putting a bunch into your cup or get like a feeder run that has like a little screen so then they can climb up that because chameleons are attracted to movement, and that'll help them be interested in eating them. And just keep in mind, some chameleons just don't like Doobie or roaches, and that's a thing too. So that's my advice. He passed due to burns from the store he was bought from. So sorry to hear that, Spiky Pro. Like, really, deepest condolences. Like, it always breaks my heart to hear about chameleons passing away. Is a female chameleon for sure going to lay eggs? So veals and panthers, 100% females will lay infertile eggs. That's just a thing. If you have a Jackson chameleon, they give live birth, so they'll never lay eggs. But yeah, the way you can try to decrease the likelihood of your chameleon laying eggs is by having lower temperatures and feeding them less. But yeah, they kind of just lay infertile eggs. Parsons chameleons don't really. That's kind of a cool thing. Do you know if she's... Oh, that's for a different question. Okay. When did you realize you wanted to own a chameleon? So I don't remember exactly when, but I remember seeing a picture of a panther, like just on the internet scrolling around, and I was like, wow, that's like a really, really cool animal, and like what would it take to have one of those? And I did tons of research on panther chameleons, and I was like, wow, like I think I'm gonna get one. Then I found out I was making a really big move, so like why would I get a chameleon if I know I'm gonna be moving far away? So I ended up waiting. And then I was just like driving around town and came across a local reptile shop, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna pop in and like see what's in here. And then I saw a baby chameleon, and that was my first time seeing a baby panther chameleon in real life. And let me tell you, from that day on, it was game over. I was like, oh my gosh, it like re-sparked my interest and enthusiasm for chameleons. And then I did all my research all over again for like another year or so at that point. Got the Enclosure set up, got Neptune, then I got Apollo and Luna, and the rest is history. I think anyone who's watching this live stream gets it, because you guys are all into chameleons to a certain capacity, so you know just how cool these creatures are. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Do you breed your own Doobie roaches? No, I don't breed any of my bugs. I buy all of them. So like, it's totally, from what I know, Doobie roaches are one of the easier bugs to breed. I just don't have any interest in breeding them. It's definitely more cost effective if you breed them. It's not something I'm interested in. I've lately been getting my bugs from doobieroaches.com. I actually have a link for 10% off your first order. So if you haven't already, I put it in the description box of pretty much all of my videos at this point, so feel free to use that if you want to check them out. But yeah, I buy my bugs online, is what I do. A couple different spots. Is it normal for your chameleon to run around a lot in their cage? I'm not sure what you mean by run around a lot, because that's kind of a subjective thing, but males in particular will move a lot in their enclosure, like up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, down to the bottom, and I think it happens a lot when they're trying to look for a mate. I think females will climb a lot when they're looking to find somewhere to lay eggs, but don't read too much into it. I mean, they're an animal, they're moving around, they're exploring, so I would say that's probably in the normal category. This person asks, at what age do veal chameleon lay eggs? They can start laying them as early as 6 months, but more commonly around 9 months old to a year old is when females will start to lay their eggs. How do I dust my chameleon's insects foods with the white powder? Is there a specific amount I put on the insects? So supplement schedules vary species to species. For a veiled and panther chameleon, you'll want to be using primarily calcium without vitamin D3. And I just take like my little pincher tongs and just sprinkle on a little bit and give them a little shaky shake in the cup. So there's like a light coating. You don't want them to look like a powdered donut, right? Like bright white. But just like a light dusting on there is usually good. So you're going to be using primarily calcium without D3. And then 2 times a month, you'll want to use your multivitamin and calcium with D3. For a Jackson's chameleon, it's going to be slightly different in that they only get the multivitamin and calcium with D3 1 time a month. So I have a whole video on supplementation where like I show you exactly like how I dust them and what that looks like. So feel free to check that out if you want more information. Let's see. Feeding my chameleon. I cup feed him. Some worms fall and dig into the dirt and I can't get them. Today we found them, but they turned into beetles. Are these beetles bad for the chameleon? So I'm thinking that you put super worms in there and now you've got beetles from the super worms. They're not bad. I know some chameleons, like most chameleons that I know actually, don't like the super worm beetles. I guess they don't taste good. I don't know. They don't have any interest in them. They're not bad by any means. But yeah, that's probably what they are. it's fine if your chameleon eats them. I just know most don't like them. Haley, so happy I caught another live stream. How are you doing? Love all that you do. Thank you so much. Oh, and you sent some $10. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Like, I do this because I love it and I enjoy it, and this is a passion project for me, and I just want to help keepers. So I do it from the bottom of my heart, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. How old is a hatchling chameleon considered? Juvenile in months. So a hatchling is going to be anything that's less than 2 months old or 3 months old. So 1 to 2 months, 2.5 months would be a hatchling, and then a juvenile would be about 3 months to 9 months is what I would put in the juvenile category. I actually just filmed right before doing this live stream a video on what age chameleon you should buy and kind of talk about baby chameleons, juvenile, and adult chameleons, and my recommendation will always be to get a juvenile chameleon around 3 months old is my recommendation. Are you still doing the reaction video? Okay guys, here's the deal. The enclosure review video took me like 2 hours to film. Just to film it, to sit there and go through all your enclosures, and I think I got like 80 submissions for that. So I now have 2 hours worth of footage that I now have to go through and edit and try and like condense down and make interesting for you guys to watch. So I know it's been a couple weeks, but keep in mind, like, I do this for fun on the side. Like, I have a full-time job on top of this, and like my friends and stuff that I try to hang out with, like, I have a life, believe it or not, outside of chameleons. So please be patient. I will get the video done. It is filmed. It's just a lot of footage to go through and edit. And I have like the footage of me talking to you guys, but then I have the footage of the enclosure, so I gotta put the enclosures on top of the video, and then, you know, all that good stuff. So it's coming. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, this week, but if it ends up taking me even longer, then it'll probably be next week, and then I'll do the ages of what age you should get video this week. So it's coming out. Don't worry, it's just a lot of work, so we're trying. The last time I did this, it took me a really long time to do it, which is why I like put it off for so long to do it again. I know it's super helpful for you guys, which is why I want to do it. Just recognize it takes time. That's all. Okay. Let's see. Can you make a video on transparent chameleons? So transparent chameleons or pied chameleons or whatever, their care is the exact same. And it's typically veiled chameleons. You'll see it. They have like the white leg or like pink on them or cream on them. Like that's what, or translucent is also what they're called. The care for them is the exact same. So I don't really know what you would be interested in learning about them. The care is the same. So let me know, like, do you have specific questions? How big should an 8 to 9 month old female be? I feel like mine is growing slow. So at 8 to 9 months, they should be pretty much full grown. So they should, it makes sense that they're growing slow because they're kind of at the peak of their size. I would say female, let's see, okay, so using my arm for reference would probably be like that big, if I had to guess. They're small. Like the first time I saw a female panther in real life, I didn't realize how small they were. They were a lot smaller than I thought they were because Neptune's like a pretty big chameleon. What's the best beginner chameleon? 1 second, water break. Gotta stay hydrated. Best beginner chameleon, in my opinion, which I also have a video about, is going to be a male veiled or male panther juvenile chameleon. Reason for this is there's tons of information about both those species. There's tons of great breeders you can buy from. The males, you don't have to worry about laying eggs. Their colors are super cool. And the juvenile, like I said, is like a good age range to get. So that's my recommendation. My chameleon has a little spot on her back where the skin won't peel off easily. How should I help her get it off? Should I even try to help? Probably not. I would look up pictures of thermal burns though and see if perhaps she has a little burn on her back. I know burns can be kind of hard for them to shed. But yeah, if it's just on her back, don't worry about it. That's not going to cut off any circulation, so leave it be. No worries. Carmela loves catching flies. Yes, all my chameleons love hunting their, lately I've been using black soldier flies, but they also love blue bottle flies, so feel free to give those to your chameleon. Do I need to gut load every insect for my chameleon? Like, for example, how would I gut load a cricket? Yes, you need to gut load all your bugs. The only exceptions would be like flies are really hard to gut load. Plus, they're not super nutritional. They're more just like a for fun feeder. So don't worry about trying to gut load your flies. Definitely gut load your crickets though. I have a whole video on how to gut load them, but the gist of it is you want to pick fruits and vegetables that are high in calcium, low in phosphorus. Some good examples would be mangoes, mustard greens, collard greens. Those are like my favorites that I like to use. And what you do is the night before you feed your chameleon, you're going to give those fruits and veggies to your bugs. In this case, crickets, right? Then those crickets can munch on them, and then in the morning, you pick out your crickets and you dust them with your supplements, and then you can feed those to your chameleon. That's how you gut load. So the video that I'm talking about, my gut loading video, goes off like a bunch of different things what you shouldn't use for gut loading. What should I expect? Oh, when should I expect my chameleon to begin shedding? That is a very hard question to answer because every chameleon is different and it depends how old your chameleon is, but I've had a few people now message me like freaking out that their chameleon isn't shedding, or one chameleon is shedding and the other chameleon isn't. Like there's no set rule of how often a chameleon shed. Generally speaking, babies shed much more frequently than older chameleons, because if you think about it, a baby is growing much faster and is going to need to shed more often than an adult. Neptune sheds like twice a year. That's it. But he's an adult chameleon. When he was a baby, it was like every couple weeks and then became every couple months, and now it's like twice a year. So don't worry, like don't read into how often your chameleon is shedding. Just let them do their thing. They'll do it in their own time. Nothing you have to worry about. Let's see. Reese just got a new dog, and when he walks in my room, my chameleon gets scared. Is that okay, or should I keep the dog away from my chameleon? Definitely keep your dog away from your chameleon. Your chameleon is telling you they're not okay, right? If they're becoming scared or defensive, that's telling you them like freaking out, right? So you need to, I would keep the dog away from your chameleon. Think about it, your chameleon is like what, this big, and your dog, I have to imagine, is a little bit bigger than that. Even like a large dog is even bigger. So they're a predator, right? They're a potential thing that could eat your chameleon. Your poor little chameleon's probably freaking out. So yeah, I would keep them separate. Also, make sure that your chameleon is up off the ground, like on a table or something. And I'm just gonna let you know that I've heard, like someone messaged me because their chameleon was eaten by their dog. True story. So just be careful, like their chameleon got out and their dog thought that the chameleon was a toy, and the chameleon didn't make it, unfortunately. So just going to caution you, and I also know of another chameleon who lost half its tail from a cat. So if you have cats or dogs, please be mindful of whether or not they can get to your chameleon if that's stressing your chameleon out. Okay, done with that. Is it okay to mist a chameleon while they are sleeping? Is it better to just get a fogger? I don't think it makes too much of a difference, to be honest. I personally use a mister, but I have relatively high humidity as is, so I don't need the fogger to like get that spike. I can do it just by misting at night, but foggers are a great option if you live somewhere dry, so I think it's kind of personal preference. My Panther chameleon is around 7 months, hasn't had much of a color change. Is it never too late? So I would say Neptune was probably around 12 months, so like 1.5 years old before he got his full color. So just give your chameleon some time. Where can I submit a picture of my enclosure for you to react? I already did an enclosure reaction video, so that's already done. It'll be a few more months before I open up submissions. But yeah, I would say check out my videos if you want to give some feedback. I currently will help people over Instagram DMs. I'm just going to tell you I've been getting more and more, so it's becoming harder and harder for me to get back to everyone. So I'm going to encourage you to go to chameleonforums.com and you can submit a picture of your enclosure, give them all the detailed like UVB, temperatures, etc., and they would be more than happy to coach you, and they have very similar advice to what I would give you. So that is my recommendation. How rare are transparents? Most people call them translucent Veal chameleons, but I wouldn't say they're super rare. Petco carries them all the time. PetSmart carries them all the time. They're, I would say, pretty common. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, you have a translucent, like, woo, like I'm like, okay, cool. Like they're not that rare. Let's see. There was a red dot on my chameleon tail when she was shedding. I don't know what the red dot means. I know sometimes, maybe this is it. I know sometimes pet stores and expos will put like red or blue dots on Typically I see it on bearded dragons, so then people can know if it's a male or a female. Was that it? Maybe? I don't know. Where's a good place to buy a Mealville juvenile chameleon for the cheapest price? So you're asking two different things. You're asking where's a good place and where's the cheapest? Because the cheapest place is not going to be a good place, and a good place is not going to be cheap. I'll say that again. If you want a good chameleon that is healthy from a strong breeder with strong bloodlines that is going to thrive, it will not be cheap. If a chameleon is cheap, it's for a reason. And odds are because it is sick, or comes from a bad bloodline, or it's wild caught. So if you want a good chameleon that's healthy, you have to pay the price for it. You have to pay the premium price from the premium breeders. If you want a cheap chameleon, you're going to get a sick chameleon. So I can't give you advice on where to get one that's good and cheap, because that's not a thing. It's going to be bad and cheap, or good and pricey. That's the reality. And if you're looking for a cheap chameleon, then maybe a chameleon's not a good fit for you, because honestly, the price of the chameleon is the cheapest part about keeping a chameleon, because the enclosure is going to be triple the cost of whatever the chameleon is. So that's my 2 cents on that. How's Neptune doing? He's good. He's getting close to shedding, so he's in that like weird milky white stage. So let's see. He's currently under his basking light, so he's good. He's chilling out. He had some super worms today, so I'm sure he's a happy camper. How close should the UVB have to be to the chameleon? It depends what UVB bulb that you're using and how big your enclosure is. There is a great chart on ChameleonAcademy.com that shows you the different UVI output of the different UVB bulbs. That gives you the like UVI ranges that you need for different distances. If you have a 5.0 or 6% T5 UVB on a 48-inch tall enclosure, then it's typically around like 5 to 6 inches is like a good distance for your basking or your UVB branch. But definitely check out the Chameleon Academy on that. Like, Bill has tons of great info on there. It's a complicated topic, so it's hard for me to just answer that on a live stream. Is it normal for my chameleon to have orange spots and blue stripes on her head, or does it mean something else? That's really hard for me to answer without knowing what your chameleon looks like. Sometimes they will have like on their cheeks little spots, so that's normal. I'm not sure what you mean by blue stripes on her head though. I would look up other pictures of females. This is a great question. 5.0 or 10.0 for UVB for a veiled chameleon. And one second, I gotta take some water. Okay, so there's a lot of debate about this. If you go to the chameleon Facebook groups, they're going to suggest a 10.0 UVB for a veiled chameleon. If you go to chameleonforums.com or Chameleon Academy, they're going to suggest a 5.0 UVB. So I can understand as a keeper why there's this confusion. Do I get a 5.0 or a 10.0 for a veiled chameleon? The reason why we have UVB in the first place is to help with processing that calcium and vitamin D3. It doesn't make sense to me why the veiled chameleons would need a higher UVB than a panther chameleon. And their argument is veils are from Yemen and that's a desert, but they're not living in the desert of Yemen, they're living in the rainforest of Yemen. So my recommendation is going to align with Chameleon Forums and Chameleon Academy, in that I'm going to suggest that a veiled gets a 5.0 or 6% UVB bulb. The reason for this is that gives you the correct gradients of a UVI or UV index of around 3.0. There has been studies and research done showing that veiled chameleons, females, were able to produce eggs with the calcium around the eggs and everything without any sort of vitamin D3 with that 5.06% UVB, which tells us that they were able to get enough D3 from their UVB bulb that they didn't need the extra supplement. There is such a thing as too much UVB. Imagine us as humans when we go out in the sun and we get sunburnt, right? That's coming from the sun. That's where D3 comes from. So we don't necessarily know the long-term effects of a chameleon getting too much D3, but the thought is that it's going to be killing cells internally, and this could be playing into how long your chameleon lives, like health issues down the line. So I personally would rather take the more conservative route that we know has worked, which is going to be the 5.0 versus the 10.0. I didn't mean to get so sciencey on you guys, but this is something that I feel strongly about, and it really breaks my heart when I just see people regurgitating 10.0, 10.0, 12%, 12%, and they don't really understand what they're saying. They're just reading off a care sheet and spitting it out to the rest of the world, you know? So that's my 2 cents on that. Feel free to do your own research. Feel free to come to your own conclusions. I've done my research. It's changing. We're learning more and more about these guys on a daily basis, but that's where the hobby is at right now. There we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble with you guys, but okay. Unfortunately, my chameleon is towards the end of his life. Any tips for end of life care? So I don't personally have any experience with this, but I know with other keepers, and if you go on chameleon forums, there's a lot of great threads about older chameleons, just trying to make them as comfortable as possible, and just maybe putting down some towels on the bottom of their enclosure, because as they get older, their grip strength decreases, and they can start to fall that way. And then maybe looking into humanely euthanizing your chameleon. I know some people do that as well, so definitely work with your vet to figure out what they suggest. My chameleon is about 8 months old. He has slowed down his eating and only eats about 3 or 4 bugs a day. Is this normal? Yes. So they're actually probably eating more bugs than they need to be eating. The general recommendation for a chameleon that age is 3 to 4 bugs every 2 to 3 days. Chameleon obesity is a very real thing, so be careful you're not overfeeding them, but it's normal for their appetite to decrease as they get older. Do I have to help my chameleon with his shedding in any way, or do they do the process all on their own? They do it all by themselves. No need to intervene. Also, no need to miss them extra. Some people do that. Chameleons are dry shedders, so do everything the exact same. They'll do it on their own. And just so you guys know, chameleons will take longer to shed as they get older, because people will freak out because it's taking longer, but that's normal. I have a veal chameleon that runs really fast. Is that normal? Yes, I guess. Chameleons can move as fast or as slow as they want. I've seen them do the little you know, tree walk, but then I've seen Neptune book it from one side of the room to the other. So yeah, they can move fast if they want, which is why I tell people don't leave your chameleon unattended outside their enclosure or outside, because you could look this way and then look that way and then they're gone. Like, they can move quick when they want to. Spiky Pro, you're gonna have to convert 160 centimeters into inches for me, and then I can tell you if a T5 6% is okay. Also, my chameleon sometimes is half one color and half the other in the sun. Yes, Apollo did that the other day. It was yellow on one side and green on the other. I always think it's super cool when they do that. The enclosure video will come out as soon as I'm done with it. It's taking me a really long time. It's like 2 hours of editing, like footage that I have to edit. So please be patient with me. I am working on it. Let's see. How do I check the moisture humidity of my chameleon enclosure? Kim, you want to use what's called a hygrometer. It's what measures the humidity. I picked mine up at Target. How big is a panther chameleon egg when the female lays them? You know what? I've never seen one in real life. I've only seen pictures of them, but in the pictures they look like this big. I have no idea though, because I've never seen one. But yeah, that's my guess. How's your crested gecko? He's good. He's chilling. He's asleep right now. You guys didn't know, I have a crested gecko named Pluto. He's good. He's happy. He has a new plant in his enclosure. Water break. 1 moment. Alright, this is a lot of talking for one person. Alright, what do we got? Yoshi the Chameleon. Is it okay if my chameleon sleeps in the day? He's not sick because he opens his eyes. I just want to know if that is bad or not. Chameleons don't take naps. Chameleons should not be sleeping during the day. To answer your question, yes, I think it's a bad sign. Closed eyes during the day typically means a sign of stress or sickness. So I would reevaluate how you have your enclosure set up and make sure that they feel safe and secure inside their home and there's no underlying health issues. Should I be worried if my panther chameleon just eats crickets? So you want to give them a varied diet. The more different kinds of bugs, the better. Like crickets are okay, they're a great bug to be feeding them, but it'd be best if you can put in a variety of different bugs. So I'm going to encourage you to watch my video on why is my chameleon eating. Not only does it talk about them not eating, but it also talks about how to get your chameleon to eat different types of bugs. Why does my 3-year-old male chameleon love being handled? Okay, I talked about this a little bit in the why does my chameleon hate me video. So it's not that they love to be handled. I think it's more so that they tolerate us and they your chameleon doesn't have a high fear response. males in particular love to come out of the enclosures so that they can try and find a mate. So it's not because they like you, it's not because they love you. Trust me, I love my guys, but they don't love me, right? I'm just a thing that they can climb on and get out of their enclosure. So make sure that your enclosure is set up correctly, and just recognize that your chameleon doesn't have a high fear response. So that's great, but it has nothing to do with you. Sorry. My chameleon won't eat out of her feeder cup. How do I make her eat out of it? I have a whole video on tips and tricks for cup feeding. A big thing, and I talked to a few people about this recently, is you need to make sure that you have lots of bugs in there, like 10 to 15 bugs at least in the cup. That way they're all bumping into each other and moving around. Make sure the cup is in a spot that your chameleon can easily get to and you can easily see. And then make sure that you're not like giving in, right? If your chameleon prefers to be tongue fed or hand fed or put the bug on the branch, if you keep doing that, then why would they eat out of the cup? You know? So you gotta stop doing that so then they can go to the cup, and that's their only option to eat, and eventually they will do it. Is it normal for a chameleon to sit under the heat lamp and breathe out of its mouth? I think you're talking about gaping, like opening their mouth, so this sometimes can be them trying to thermoregulate and keep their temperatures in check. This can also happen if your basking branch is too hot. So for a male chameleon, you want to be aiming for about 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and for a female about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's called gaping, though. When I go the insects for my chameleon, can I give them the food you said low in phosphorus to all of them, or each insects have specific food that they need that is low in phosphorus? You can give it to all of them. It's good to feed your bugs fruits and vegetables that are also good for your chameleon. So all of them, go for it. What are signs of MBD? Yes, excellent question, and this is one I want to make a video about. The reason why I haven't made a video is because none of my chameleons have MBD, so I have to try and get pictures and videos from other people. Besides the point, the signs of MBD are typically most common on their limbs. So you want your chameleon's limbs to be very like sharp, right? Like a very angular, right? Like a human arm. You want it to be like nice and pointy. What happens when chameleons get MBD is their body starts pulling the calcium from the bones. Very similar, to rickets in humans. So as a result, the bones will be curved. So instead of having a nice pointy arm, you're going to see a rounded arm. So they kind of like bow out like this, right? So that is pretty common. That's probably the most common sign of MBD. Broken ribs, that's another one. If their mouths can't close all the way, if they're kind of like open or bent like that, that can be another sign of MBD. Yeah, those are the most like visual signs of metabolic bone disease. And if your chameleon does have metabolic bone disease, you can't reverse the effects of it, but you can prevent it from getting worse. And if MBD, like if their setup isn't corrected, then MBD will most likely be fatal. It's probably the #1 cause of death in chameleons, right alongside getting egg bound for a female. So there you go. Yeah, it's very sad and 100% preventable. I once had someone tell me that MBD was genetic, and that's not true. It is 100% the result of improper chameleon care. Let's see, how do I travel with my chameleon in the car? It depends how far you're going. Just, a couple hours, no biggie. What you can do is get your chameleon onto a stick and put that stick into a box and just close the box. If it's dark inside and if it's a long trip, then your chameleon will go to sleep. What I personally use is like a little animal, like dog pet carrier. It's like a soft fabric one. So what I can do is put the stick in there and then just zipper around the stick. And that's how I transport my chameleons. But most people use boxes with a couple holes in them, and they'll just go to sleep. So, yeah, super easy. Don't just have your chameleon climbing around though. People do it all the time. Like I see it on TikTok. No need to have your chameleon on the steering wheel with you. I know it's super cute. Trust me, I wish I did that with my chameleon so that I could be super cute. Like, look at me and Neptune just like cruising. But don't do that. Don't be that guy. Awesome that you're doing a live. Hi Nadine, how's it going? Okay, I understand where's the best place to buy a male juvenile veal chameleon. Doesn't matter the price. So I'm currently going to recommend Frames Cams for a veiled chameleon. There's tons of great breeders out there though. When you're looking for a breeder, a couple things. Make sure the chameleon is at least 3 months old. Make sure that they can show you what the parents look like, ask for pictures of how they're keeping their chameleon, and ask how they're caring for their chameleon, and make sure it aligns to your research and what you know about chameleons. You can very quickly tell on who is a very attentive, caring breeder and who's just trying to make a quick buck. So do not buy them from reptile expos. Don't buy them from people who just like sell 1 month old chameleons. I just bought a Veal chameleon. He ate the first day and yesterday. Okay, there's a lot of typos in what you wrote, but I'm thinking you're trying to say that they ate in the beginning, but now they're not eating now. Chameleons, it's very common for them to not eat when they first come to a new home. So give them time to get settled in, make sure you put a cup of food in there, and then leave them be. They need time to get acclimated to their new home, and chameleons are very, very shy eaters, especially when they're young, so odds are it's going to be uncommon for them to eat in front of you anyways. Where should I put my chameleon cage? That is a very big question. Do you have some options? The gist of it is a low traffic area. Oh, Neptune's trying to climb the screen. A low traffic area, and you want them up high. Hold on, let me open the door for Neptune, 1 second. He's trying to come out. Now he's hiding because he's a big baby. He's a big scaredy cat is what he is. Okay. There you go. We'll put his tree back there. We'll see if he comes out. I don't have chameleons, but I'm here anyways. Hello, how's it going? Do you know of any DIY playpen I can make when I take my chameleon so he won't escape? So I have a whole video on how to set up a free range. That's typically what it's called in the chameleon hobby. And like you see here, I have a fig tree, but if you're trying to get something that they won't escape, then that to me just sounds kind of like another enclosure. I'm trying to think. I don't have any ideas off the top of my head. Just make sure it's things that they can't climb and get out of. And if you do take your chameleon out of their enclosure for more than like an hour or two, then you're also going to want to provide UVB for them, because if you keep them out of their enclosure all the time, then they're not getting the correct humidity and UVB exposure that you need, which is why I recommend not putting them out of their enclosure for more like an hour or two, like twice a week. Where's Neptune going? I don't know. Okay. Let's see, what is the best gut load for insects? Don't do any of the commercial gut loads, like the orange Fluker's cubes, those are garbage. What you want is fresh fruits and vegetables. Something I haven't mentioned yet is bee pollen. That's an excellent thing to gut load and even sprinkle on top of your bugs. So I got mine off Amazon. You just want like a little powdered bee pollen, so check that out. I can hear Neptune climbing around. I think he might come out. We'll see. Okay, what gut load? I like to use collard greens, mustard greens, mango. Some people use like alfalfa or watercress. Things you don't want to use are tomatoes. Those are toxic. Spinach is not great. Potatoes aren't great. So yeah, don't use those. And don't use the orange cubes. Okay, what else we got? How do I check for dehydration? The best way to check is from their poop, the urate, which is supposed to be the white part. If it's bright orange or shriveled up, odds are they're dehydrated. You can also tell by their eyes. If their eyes are sunken in, then that can be another sign of dehydration. Okay, water break. 1 second. Okay, what else we got? I have a female veiled, and after she laid her first infertile clutch, she wasn't eating. I had to hand feed her for 2 weeks until she recovered. So scary. They should be able to eat on their own. I'm glad you were able to hand feed her. Sometimes they just get picky about how they like to be fed, in my opinion. Thank you so much for what you do. Very much appreciated. You are very welcome. Like, I love doing this for you guys. This is my happy space. It would be cool if you guys were in person, so I'm not just talking to my phone. But here we are. You know, best we can do. I'm going to get my chameleon somewhere that is 45 minutes away where I live. Do I travel with my chameleon in the car since it's a long car ride? Do I need to bring any insects or water? No need to bring insects and water. Oh, Neptune's trying to climb out. No need to bring any insects or water. Odds are that they're not going to eat or drink anyways. So just put them into a box with a stick and they'll be a happy camper, and then just make the 45-minute drive. That's not a problem. That's a pretty quick drive. Is it okay if I get another chameleon, or will the male and female fight? Oh, we got Neptune coming out. Can you guys see him? Oh, it's good. see him? He's on the tree. He's like right there. I don't want to get too close to him or he'll freak out. Okay. So if you get another chameleon, then they need separate enclosures. You can see all my enclosures, like all my chameleons have their own enclosure, and there's a visual barrier between them. If you put a male and female together, not only is there a potential that they will fight, but odds are that you will end up with pregnant chameleon and you'll end up with baby chameleons. It's totally fine to have a male and female. You just need to keep them separated in separate enclosures. Chameleons are big, scary green dinosaurs. Scary? He's not scary. Look how cute he is. He's adorable. How do I get my chameleon to warm up with the family? For example, I'm going to be the one to take care of him. But how do I get him to not be scared of my family when they are trying to take him out? So, why is your family wanting to take him out? A chameleon should be left alone like you saw. Neptune, look at it, he's all the way up there. Neptune came out all on his own. I didn't even touch him. Not once have I touched him and he came out. I firmly believe that we should not try to force handle our chameleons or take them out. They should be able to do exactly this. Where Neptune came out all on his own, I read his body language, I gave him the opportunity, and he took it. Right? Your family should have zero reason to interact with your chameleon, and I think it's your job as the owner and the caretaker of the chameleon to communicate to your family that this is not a pet that enjoys to be handled. They are a look-at pet. You wouldn't just take a fish out of water and hang out with it, right? Fish or look-at pet. I tell people that chameleons are very similar to fish. They're very cool to look at, but we don't interact with them often. So there should not be any reason for your family to interact with your chameleon, and you just need to set realistic expectations with them. If you're trying to bond and build a relationship with your chameleon, that's going to take months. Lots of time, lots of patience to get that relationship. And if your family wants to do that, that's great. They just need to have realistic expectations for what they're getting themselves into. Let's see. How often can I use bee pollen on my chameleon's food? You can use it daily. I think bee pollen has had nothing but positive benefits for a chameleon. I just do it when I remember, honestly. Sometimes I forget, so yeah. I just remember. When I remember it, then I sprinkle it on there. I feed it to my bugs. What do I do if my chameleon does not want to eat at all? Figure out why they're not wanting to eat. I made a whole video on why my chameleon isn't eating, but it sounds like you don't even have a chameleon yet, so I would wait. I would cross that bridge when you get to it. Oh, he's on the move. Thank you for all you share. You're welcome. My friend has a Veal chameleon and she only has a basking area. She doesn't have UVB. Is that good or no? She's always carrying her and it's always sleeping. Okay, this is basically what not to do with the chameleon. To answer your question, no, that is not good. A chameleon 100% needs a UVB bulb. The reason why we have to have a UVB bulb is that we're keeping them inside. Where'd Neptune go? Oh, he's down there. If she was keeping her chameleon outside, then that would be fine, but they absolutely need UVB indoors in captivity because it's basically replicating the sun. You should not be carrying your chameleon all the time, and if they're sleeping, they're not actually sleeping. What's happening is their body is shutting down, and that is a severe sign of stress and a telltale sign that your chameleon is not okay. Woo, where's Neptune going? Oh, he's trying to climb back into his enclosure. Come on, buddy. I'll lift you up. Wait. There you go. You good? Okay. Neptune. Oh, you're gonna fall. 1 second, guys. He's trying to climb Pluto's enclosure, but it's glass and he can't grab onto that, so gotta give him a treat. Okay, there you go. Sorry, now I'm babysitting a chameleon while talking to you guys. He's like down on the bottom half of the tree. I don't know if you can see him or not, but okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so if the chameleon's sleeping, that's bad. If there's no UVB, that's bad. Her chameleon will 100% get metabolic bone disease, and that is fatal. So if she doesn't change what she's doing with her chameleon, she will end up with a sick, most likely dead chameleon. I know I didn't sugarcoat that at all, but I'm just being, like, very honest. What are you doing, Neptune? You're being a goober. Okay. Why don't you go live more often? Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I'm also, like, I don't want to, like, bore you guys, or like what if people aren't interested? Like the last thing I want is to just be live and then like not be helping people or not helping you guys out. So yeah, and I have a job outside of YouTube. I actually have a full-time job, then I do, and I also have like this other side for fun job. So very, very busy. I already work full-time. This is why I only can do videos like once a week, every other week. So bear with me. This is why like the Enclosure review video is taking so long. You know, it'd be cool to do YouTube full-time, but you know, that's not the reality. Let's see. Yep, we've got people saying that they absolutely be. Yep. What do you think about iguanas? I think they are cool. I would never in a million years ever consider owning an iguana because they're big and they've got big nails. Okay, hold on. Neptune's trying to climb the bottom. 1 second. He does this thing where he climbs to the bottom of the tree and then there's like the pot and then he tries to like get onto the ground from there. Yeah, he's doing it right now. Okay. He's on the ground now. He's on the prowl. I just gotta keep an eye on him. So, okay, we're gonna wrap this up because now I gotta babysit Neptune, who's now climbing around my apartment. Should I put strawberries and lettuce in my cage? No. Just like don't feed your chameleon fruits and veggies. Like they should just be for your bugs. Let me just check where Neptune is. Okay, he's good. And strawberries and lettuce aren't even great things to be gut loading your bugs with. Can you use plants that you've changed the fertilizer for? Yes, so if you have plants and they have fertilizer in the soil, if you change out that soil, then those should be fine to use for your chameleon. Have you ever considered a bigger reptile like a monitor or a tegu? Nope. Like, I am totally happy with the size of a chameleon. In fact, I have 2 Parsons chameleons, which are like the largest species of chameleons, so those guys are big enough for me. Let's see. I have a 6 to 8 month Jackson female that seems to not want to eat much and stays on the side of the enclosure. I think that should be okay. I really have to know more about them. Okay. Would a chameleon eat a significantly smaller chameleon? Yes, sometimes chameleons will actually eat smaller lizards. I don't know if they would eat another chameleon. I don't see why not. Hold on. What is Neptune doing? He's climbing a plant that I have over by my window. He seems okay though. What is your least favorite bug? Crickets. By far, I don't like crickets. They're noisy, smelly, and they jump around. But yeah. Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap up the live stream. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining. As always, leave me any questions or comments down below in the comment section. Feel free to check out my videos. I also have been posting TikTok videos often, so that's Neptune the Chameleon over there as well as on Instagram. So feel free to follow me on those accounts. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.